You know those survey questions where it's on like a depression or a anxiety or a mood questionnaire that you had to like answer in high school or something like that? This is where I vividly remember the example from. The question that really struck me was, how often do you feel driven on a motor or something like that? And there was like a bunch of all those other questions, and it's like, how often? So like on a scale from never throughout the week, like per week, on a weekly basis. So never throughout the week to like almost always throughout the week. And I would always remember putting that I would always feel that way, like almost every day of the week I would feel driven on a motor whenever I would answer those questionnaires, because I didn't think that I never really thought that I was depressed in high school, I don't think, because I had a decently good time there. I enjoyed myself, so that was always my answer to the question. And for some reason, like, it just popped back into my mind, that question. And there's also like a bunch of other questions. The other one that really stuck out to me, or that I could remember, is like, how often do you have restless nights? Because it was kind of testing for your mood and to figure out how you were feeling at that certain time whenever you took the survey. So I guess I'm making this video because I didn't really feel that way for the past couple of months. I think throughout a good bit of the summer, I've kind of lost my way in a sense, that I just haven't really been driven towards something. Obviously, I still have that underlying kind of motive underneath everything. I think I'll always have that, where maybe not always. If if you get depressed, I don't think you can have that same drive, but I wasn't depressed this summer, so I was just more or less lost, and I didn't exactly know the definite path that I needed to go down. So that's kind of been where I've been at for the past couple months, is that not really felt like I'm working, like jumping out of bed. How often have you like jumped out of bed excited to get on with your day? Because that's what I felt last night for the first time in a while. So when I was going to sleep, it was still pretty late. It was probably like 11. Yeah, probably around 11. I was hitting the hay, and for some reason my mind was still like racing, and there were a bunch of new ideas while I was laying in bed trying to fall asleep. A bunch of new video ideas just came to my head, and I think that's a good way to tell if what you're doing is working, or if you're like in a flow state kind of, or I don't know if I want to say a flow state, but if what you're doing is going well to a certain extent, I'd say that's a good indicator. If the ideas are coming naturally and your brain is just, not that your brain is always working, because you don't want to always be working, but just having things coming naturally to you, I think that's the best indicator, or one of the best indicators, that what you're doing has potential, and you should continue on with what you're doing, and you shouldn't just try to stop. But when you get or experience something like writer's block, where you're trying to force ideas, then I think that's a good time to maybe take a break. And I don't know, I guess I just wanted to talk about that question of, how often do you feel driven by a motor, right? I think, or I'd hope that the majority of us feel it pretty often, especially here in the self-improvement space. That's the whole idea, right? That's the purpose, is like the main mission that each of us have individually. Like, we don't have a shared purpose. Maybe we have a shared purpose, I don't know. But each of us should have our own individual pursuits that we're working towards. And I know that a lot of people don't feel that all the time, and it's easy to feel lost. So what to recommend here? I think just trying to find clarity in what you want is really important, because spending a lot of time, it's hard, right, to find out what you want out of life. That's why so many people don't know what they want out of life. But the thing is, if you actually sit down and spend, all right, if you check your screen time, if you have fucking 9 hours on your spend on your phone. I'm not gonna lie, that was me yesterday. I spent a lot of time on my phone yesterday, but that was mainly because my business deals with social media, so I kind of have to be on those apps, but maybe that's just an excuse. Anyways, I would say that if you spent the amount of time that you spent on social media or spent on your phone, and you just devoted that instead to watching mindless videos or TikToks of 3-second clips that'll just sap all your attention span, then I think if you direct it and just set aside time to figure out what you want in life rather than sitting there mindlessly scrolling, then that would be more beneficial to you. And even if it takes like 24 hours in total, not saying that you're gonna spend a whole 24 hours consecutively working on trying to find your purpose, but if it even takes a total of a whole day to figure out what you want out of life, I think that time would be well spent. And granted, it's not as easy as doing something like sitting on your bed or sitting in your desk chair just scrolling through videos, but that's kind of why so many people avoid it, and they avoid trying to figure out what they want out of life, like sitting down and journaling, because it's a lot more effort and it takes a lot more brain power than just being a zombie and going like this every single 3 seconds. So I think that would be my suggestion. If you haven't felt driven by a motor lately, I would suggest sitting down, journaling, and spending some time really probing your mind, your own mind, and doing some introspection to figure out what you want out of life. And I think some of that experience of purpose might be shared, so check out this video to understand what I mean. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and remember to stay on target.